Right now we take a closer look inside Daman Investments, the company run by Shehab Gargash, one of Dubai's most senior Emirati businessmen. I sat down with Shehab on Sunday, spoke about a whole bunch of stuff. We heard the first part of that interview on Sunday. We're going to hear the second part right now. And Shehab begins by talking about local stocks. Daman Investments is primarily a fund management company. It invests in regional equity markets, but they haven't had the best start to 2012.
Let's talk about the equity markets. To an extent, they've benefited from this recovery, but we haven't seen a flood of liquidity into local markets, have we? We haven't seen foreign investors picking up the phone to investment funds like yours and putting major bets on these markets yet. Why do you think that hasn't really happened in a meaningful way?
Not at all. We have not seen it at all. You are right. And we have not seen it at all. I think that is one of the sore spots of this economy. Equity markets depend on an injection of liquidity, real and created. Real liquidity is money out of my and your pocket. Created is the leverage that goes along with it, and other indirect and direct liquidity that comes alongside our money. That has not happened. The equities market in the UAE, in terms of its depth, its breadth, is a laggard. This is an economy that our equity markets do not do justice. And therefore, I think there is a lot to do, starting off with the availability of liquidity in terms of new pools of investors, institutional investors, government, quasi-government, foreign investors. All of those we don't see enough of. What we've got in the equities market are the usual suspects who trade heavily when they think there is an opportunity and trade lightly when there isn't an opportunity, but it's the same money that keeps circulating, and that is not a good mover for equities.
And how do we get more companies to list on markets? Because if I'm thinking, okay, I like the Dubai story, I like the trade, the transport, the tourism story, that's all well and good, but I can't really play that on local equity markets. Okay, I can buy shares of Air Arabia maybe, or there's a hotel company in Abu Dhabi, I can buy maybe a few Aramex shares, but I can't really get involved, can I? What needs to change for these companies to come to market?
It's not so much about change as much as piling it up. The equities market anywhere in the world is a mosaic. In the UAE, we don't have enough pieces in that mosaic yet. I think those pieces need to just get collected in order to have a complete picture. It's a matter of time, it's a matter of persistence, and it's a matter of one step at a time, building to a more elaborate and more colorful equities market.
In terms of the demand portfolio of funds that you and your team are managing at the moment, you are invested in the markets. Of course, it's what you do. You've been doing it for a decade now. So within that, where are you investing at the moment, either in terms of industries or in terms of geographies?
Our equity funds have not been our, if you will, star products in the past 4 years. And that's a direct result of how the equity markets in the region have acted since the crisis. We are very closely. You can't go very different in this market. You do your country allocations, and you do your sector allocations, and it's not a very deep or broad market. So I would guess that within a margin of error of 10 or 20%, we are invested similar to a lot of our competitors. The big difference for us, if we have taken a view a while back that these markets are going to take some time to come back, and they're one-way markets, you can't short them yet. Therefore, we tend to be sitting on more cash than usual, and we tend to be underinvested in the markets than usual. We do have our little bursts where we do go in and out, but excuse me. By and large, I think the market is, for an investor today, my advice is to buy value and to wait. you are not going to be instantly rich in the equity markets as they stand today. They still need some healing to do.
And how about other asset classes? The Sukuk market has some momentum at the moment. I know Daman has investments in energy trading as well.
The Sukuk market and bond market generally, corporate and sovereign, semi-sovereign, have been I think, a major performer during the crisis years for investors. The reason for that is the world mispriced the risk. I think they expected a bigger risk factor, i.e. better pricing for what essentially is a low-risk proposition for the names from the Middle East, especially the GCC. Therefore, what has happened is people were handsomely rewarded for taking fairly reasonable risk on this fixed income paper, and that has been a, if you will, the silver lining in the cloud of the crisis for investors that looked at these names.
If we look at some of the broader sweeps of history affecting the UAE at the moment, we can talk about the day-to-day, where's the Dubai financial market going, and that's interesting. But more long-term, you've seen dramatic changes in Dubai throughout your lifetime. And the UAE Economy Minister, His Excellency, was talking this morning about the coming decades and what needs to change. And he was talking about investing in education, creating a culture of innovation in particular. These are big things, aren't they? How can we achieve these kind of goals?
We can achieve them through exactly what we're doing now. The only issue, we are a time-lapse economy. I mean, it's like those time-lapse photography where things sort of rush in front of your eyes and everything piles up very quickly. Everything we've seen is 50 years or younger, and that is impressive. And by all standards, we tend to set very high standards and tend to be disappointed when we don't achieve them. I think by any measure, what has happened in the UAE has been mind-boggling. I think what is still happening in the UAE is mind-boggling. I think there is a lot of tweaking, improvement, leveling that needs to be done, yes, but so is the case with every situation. The pace at which this growth in this country has happened is seldom repeated anywhere throughout history. So we're a bit harsh on ourselves by thinking things are not quite right. They're never quite right, but I think there is more good than bad that has happened. So we've moved from, in 2 generations, from a backwater with oil wells into a modern economy, a country with a modern economy that is at pace with virtually the best in the world.
Shehab Gargash, always great talking to you. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.